All right, this is the Lunenburg Water District Commissioners Meeting, June 12th, 4 PM. We're gonna start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. You guys weren't on your game, so we're gonna review and sign warrants. And while we're doing this, because we can multitask, I was gonna go to the next thing that says
Oh, yeah.
reorganization of the board.
Gunning for that one.
Really?
Reorganization of the board, John.
Okay, I nominate Mr. Woodward as the chairman.
I would second that.
All those in favor?
Well, first of all, Mr.
I wanna
Woodward,
get it
accept the
done.
nomination.
Oh, okay. So I'm jumping the gun on you, huh, Woody?
Yeah.
Yeah, did you see that bus coming?
Yeah, look
That
out.
was fast. Hit me a little faster than I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
So typically, when we, in the past, in the way past,
Right.
and when Mr. Rogers was here, that's the way past.
Right.
But no, he would, the outgoing commissioner would be chair. And then we'd reorganize the board after that, because it would be your third year. Therefore, you've had all the experience and the
Yeah.
fun and what you,
Yeah,
and know
yeah.
what this is all about. And,
You never
Then-
know what this is
Look,
about.
I got it. I'll take the reins for a while. Take a little
Okay.
stress off you. I get it.
Yeah.
okay. So, with that being said, I'll pass these that way.
That's why I printed you a,
And
That should be.
we're gonna do the selectman style. We're gonna reorganize the board.
oh,
You get the head of the table.
See, I stay in the middle. I'm the middle guy.
Hold on a second.
Gotta change that.
Drive from now on. Um, oh yeah. Do we have the minutes floating around at any place?
He might be tucked in between.
Okay.
I'll see you in a second now.
While we multitask with this, would we like to move on to our discussion with Ty and Bond?
We can, I'm have no problem with that.
All right. Well, I prepared a small agenda for us to just go through a couple things I wanted to touch base on, so we could just go right through that. So, item number one, the Hickory Hill pilot, that is now complete. The on-site work is complete. They are transitioning to the laboratory work, so it's rapid small-scale column testing. They haven't started that yet, so I guess the question for you guys is, we have an opportunity to maybe curtail that a little, to minimize what we invest and spend in that. I think we had multiple medias going on there, but
Correct.
given that we're not proceeding, at least not at this time with it, we don't necessarily need to do all of the different medias, but we can keep them on there, it doesn't change anything. Just wanted to
So
put it out there.
This assists with the actual design of the whole treatment plant, correct?
It does. What it does is we've got GAC and Fluorosorb. It's probably unlikely that we go forward with Fluorosorb, so we'd still keep the GAC on there, and that would help correlate. Since we didn't have enough time to get through actual on-site exhaustion of the media, this rapid small scale will help us get to that in the lab. That alone doesn't tell you how long it will last in real life, because to do the laboratory testing, they grind up the media to even smaller bits of media, put it in a column that's basically the size of this pen,
Yep.
and rapidly filter and accelerate the process. So what we can do though is take the information we got from the field based on this and then extrapolate and correlate that till we get an actual exhaustion of media.
I'd like to see us have the the most complete information we can have.
We'll change nothing and we'll proceed with all of it.
Because we have to have, the way people were talking about information, we have to have all the information. And I think now that we're with the brakes have been put on a little bit, and so to speak, then we, I think we wanna get as much complete information so that we can be very accurate with what our plan is moving forward.
I think I'll piggyback a little off that too. The fact is that the Hickory Hills pilot test was voted on by the public to, that is what we wanted to do. So yes, let us complete that task in entirety as proposed, as voted on, and, you know, put it on the shelf until,
Till
it's
such a
needed.
time. I mean, it's, the information's not gonna go bad.
Right,
So-
I mean, just off, well, I don't think you're mean on it, but once this is done in, you know, all this information is ready, so obviously we're not moving forward at this time, does it expire, does it have a time limit, that you know?
I can see it
So
from
many
here.
years or something, where like, all right, that's no longer valid information for a pilot test?
No, I don't, there's no definitive expiration date. If I had to
Okay.
get into the mind of DEP, they might say, oh, it's been 10 years.
Sure,
Run a
okay.
full water quality battery, and if we see something drastically different, maybe we
Understood.
gotta take another look. But
Yep.
as long as nothing drastically changes, it's probably still valid.
Yeah, okay.
The only other item I had in relation to that pilot testing, just to see if the board was interested, there is a grant program out there that potentially gets you guys reimbursed for the money that you spent on the piloting. It's only, I think it's only a couple page application. I figured we might as well see if we can
Oh,
get
yeah.
you reimbursed.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is that something you do, or Christie, or?
Yeah, we'll work with
Maybe
Christie in
that-
case there's any information we don't know, and we'll obviously run it by you and the board if you wanna take a look at it before we submit it, but we just figured the program's out there, it just got refunded again, recently, so they had exhausted all those funds, but then they voted more from additional funding, so there's another several $1,000,000 available to small systems and disadvantaged communities. So since you are both, you check both those boxes, there's a chance to get some reimbursement.
That would
Can
be
we use
fantastic.
that for all of the
I
tests?
was just gonna ask the same thing. Well, we
Can
have
we
ARPA
submit-
for Keatings.
But still, I mean, if we can give it back, give it back.
Oh, true, I guess.
If we can
All
get a
of the
grant,
local stuff, I think you can try to recoup.
Okay.
so, yeah.
Does that funding, you say apply for that grant, is that, application done when the pilot test is complete, or can you do it in the process thereof?
I think it's rolling and you can do it anytime, so this would be for reimbursement. You can also do it for design as well, so it's like a planning and design, and so the piloting falls under the planning portion of it.
That'd be great.
Yep,
So we'll see if we can, I mean, there's no guarantees, but it's worth a shot.
Yep.
The Keating pilot, so we do have the DEP approval on that one. It took a little while to go back and forth with, they had thrown in some extra sampling requirements that really drove the price tag up, and we didn't understand why they wanted all that extra sampling, and so they realized that they think they had copy and pasted from some other approval.
Oh, they do that kind of thing?
yeah,
That's surprising.
yeah.
Oh, that they cut and paste?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think. I don't know for sure.
I'm sure everybody knows what I'm getting at.
But, so we've got that curtailed back to reality, and so we're just working with Blue Leaf to make sure we have the latest and greatest costs from them, and then go forward on that one. So he's just working that into his schedule. And then I guess my third bullet is just some general discussion topics on the next steps, right? So I know I've seen an email from Fran about, just some different ideas about how we might proceed. Some of it was in regard to, taking some time for some more specific detail on what the options for treating PFAS might be in terms of like an alternate connection, or maybe really drilling into the cost to purchase land around Shirley Lake and develop a new source. I think trying to hear some of the comments back and maybe putting some more work into the,
What
fully
do you
developing
guys
those.
want to do?
Is that-
Because we need to do something.
Well-
We cannot survive with just Keatings.
I know,
I mean, because anybody that says that, yeah, I'm not going to go into that.
no.
Yeah.
I'll give you a real scenario, and we'll bring this up later. But the Keatings well, not our Keatings well, shaft collapsed. their
well
wells,
casing.
their wells out, you know what I'm saying, and that could,
And then they're taking our
they're
water.
taking our
A
water
lot
out.
of water.
that could happen to our well there
Oh,
also.
no, it's perfect. Nothing's ever gonna happen.
Are
So,
they planning on fixing it soon?
yeah,
or-
They're looking.
we'll go through that a
yeah.
little bit later.
Okay,
They've been
alright.
trying to test them. They need to put in new wells.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
But anyway, so yes, we need to have another option because
And just so you know, the well that we are using was put in by Keating's.
right,
We found the well in 1975, and because it was so far away, we never pursued it. And a lot of concern was because the landfill's a quarter mile
Yeah.
away from it. So
Shirley's.
there's a lot of concern about the well. So
we're gonna circle back to this. I want to have him finish
Yeah.
through, and there's more
Anyway, I was
discussion.
gonna get, the well's old.
Yes.
That well's not brand new like we
Right.
put it, because that well was there for 20 years before.
We definitely have a discussion on finding another source somehow, some way, something. I agree.
I would agree. I think that we need to dial in what some of the costs may be for intermunicipal connections, have the conversations with the people that may be able to supply, make sure they can supply us what we need, so that it's a viable option. And I understand that the option's gonna be expensive. We're going to have to purchase water at a much higher rate than we produce water at. But after this last thing, I don't care if we have 20 articles at our next meeting to let people decide what they wanna do.
But we're gonna have to have a special meeting because I'm assuming this Time Bond isn't gonna do this for free.
No, no.
We're gonna have to have a contract, so our residents are gonna have to
Yep.
vote, because we don't have that in our maintenance budget
And
to
the-
pay
and the-
an engineer to look at. I mean, we did with
Right.
the master plan, they already started it, but if they're putting in an extensive amount to look into other options, we're gonna
Right.
have to have the
But we
residents
don't-
vote to.
I don't think we wanna, I agree with you. I think we bring it to the residents, but we bring it to them in not a lump sum. Bring it to them in stages. Do they really want us to go to Shirley, Townsend, Fitchburg, Leominster? Let's put that. What's the line item to research intermunicipal connections?
Okay.
And then what's the line item? Then the next article is, do you want to spend, we can either vote on everything with Article 1. And if Article 1 gets voted down, then Article 2 is gonna be researching intermunicipal connections in my mind. And then the next article would be for the next thing. So we break everything down as much as we possibly can, and as much as it seems realistic to do. We make it Article 1, and if Article 1 passes with everything, then great. If not, then we have the options. Everybody else, the public can decide what they wanna do. We can make our recommendations, and they can decide what they wanna do, how much money they wanna spend at this point.
So
Because
that's what we're asking Time Bond, or
Right.
get us a proposal.
Right, I mean,
for-
what's realistic as far as to break
Break down.
down, cost to pursue the options we're looking at? That's all.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
And breaking them out as much as it seems reasonable to do.
yeah, I think exploring an intermunicipal connection with each different municipality is gonna be slightly different, you know, I mean,
Right.
are we, we gotta look at, in all cases, you need like a booster station, right? So you gotta,
Every one of them.
we gotta find land to put a booster station, or, where, so that requires a different amount of effort depending upon where we're looking,
And, cause I've spoke to every surrounding town, everyone, Leominster, Shirley, Fitchburg, Townsend. Ashby doesn't have one, so, and just to be clear, Shirley has no interconnection with any other town. There was a lot of people saying that on the internet, but that's not true. But anyway, so I've talked to all of them, and you, like, I mean, you're gonna have to talk to them again, because no one's gonna believe better than I say. But, like, talking with Fitchburg, it wasn't just, yeah, could we do the water? He gave me a definite maybe, but he says it's not just the water, it's their distribution system to us, our distribution coming out of it.
Right.
So it'd be the same thing with Townsend. We're not looking at just hey, we need a booster pump. Well, we
Right.
need to run a mile and a half of water main to Townsend, and then we need to, when it comes to Lunenburg, it's one feed line, one broken main, boom, again, we're out of line. So now we need, redundancy was an overkill word, but you
Yeah,
need,
we need
you need,
redundancy.
you need both, you need two ways to supply the water. So I mean, it's not just simple, and I think that's, you're gonna have to tie that into your study or whatever.
And how many years is this gonna take?
These guys are pretty quick.
Yeah, I would say, well, conceptually,
Five?
the first thing is, can you supply us with the water? You know,
Right,
and what's the
right.
quantity that that we're looking for? If we're putting all of our right now, currently, everything into Keating's, then you want 1.5 million gallons a day.
Maximum day is 1.4.
Out of
So
Keys.
yes, so we need that, or in the future down the road, who knows what the future brings.
You know, I sit here and I think about what went on in the last 6 months and what we've done to try to correct the problem. And I don't know why we're banging our head on the floor to kill ourselves to try to get this done. I mean, they don't want any water. And when it's gone, they won't have any.
Because it's our job, and that's what we're here to do.
Well, we
Yeah.
did our job. We did our
tried.
job.
We did it
tried to
one
do
way.
our job.
We're gonna try
Right.
doing it a different way.
Well, it
That's-
ain't gonna work again, because you gotta buy a piece of land from Shirley, you gotta put a $5 million well in there by the time you pipe it to where it's going, and who's to say it isn't gonna get voted down every step of the way again? Who cares? I don't care. I mean, I care about the people that are drinking the water. I care about the water, and I care about the water district. But you're banging your head against the,
Well,
I won't tell you what, but that's the
our
problem.
last plan I felt was the best, logistical way to go about it. However, financially, it was a lot of money, and I think it,
Well, they ain't gonna
affected
get
us.
any cheaper. Now you're gonna buy a piece of land and you're gonna
Look,
put in another well.
I agree, but it's round two for us. We got to go back to the drawing board and figure out a way to do
Yeah.
it. I'm frustrated like you, but
I'm waiting. I'm
You know?
waiting for the state to step in and see what they're
well,
going. If they
I
are
mean,
going to
the
step
email
in.
you sent the other day, we have until 2029 to. Was that
Yeah,
correct?
3 years to monitor.
Yep.
And then you have to come up with your plan.
You have to have a plan
And
in
then
place.
by year 5,
It
you
needs
have
to
to
be-
meet it.
Right.
And I hear a lot of people, I'm not gonna say names, that's all just on paper, it's gonna
Yeah,
go 10
yeah.
years, that's not true. It's actually out there, 5 years, you have to meet the water.
So how long is it
defects.
going to take to buy a piece of land and put another well in? 5, 7 years?
Well, new wells.
No, a new source is, we're
9
looking
years.
at an option, but it's not gonna be as quick as utilizing the sources we currently have.
It'll be 9
And
years.
that's
is my
the,
guess.
and we
Yeah, I
gotta,
think in terms of, you got Keating's and you're putting all your eggs in the Keating's basket, you want to have an alternate supply, and the fastest way to get an alternate supply would probably be through an interconnection if they have enough water.
or utilizing the sources
So
we
you know,
have.
having the so you use Keating, and if something happens, you can turn on the alternate supply. That's one approach. That's
Right.
It's gonna be faster than developing a new supply.
Yes.
Maybe the alternate supply someday is thinking, well, why should we supply other towns with water? We might be in the same position they're in someday.
Well,
And
I
then-
mean, obviously, with an interconnection, that is when they run out of water, we're the first ones to get shut off. They're going to take it at the town first. I mean, that's obvious.
I
Or-
would, yeah, I mean,
or
that's
with
gonna,
DEP regulations, like you say. with
nothing
the-
like having your own
we gotta
water.
start with the questions, do you have the water, will you supply it to us? That's really the simple starting point, and if everybody comes back and says no, when we need 1.5 million gallons a day.
Mm-hmm.
Will you supply us with 1.5 million gallons a day in the middle of August?
Right.
And if you won't do that, then we gotta go to the next one. If they won't do that, I mean, we've worked together with other communities before, they've worked with us, we've done temporary, emergency, low flow, or however, I believe. We've had some before.
We can feed them easily.
Right. But
Not not very easily, because you cannot keep going at this.
well,
stupid
it's
internet.
all pressures and.
Right.
and
Yeah, but it's not like you
volume.
can just throw, hey, let me flick a hose from hydrant.
Right, no,
Hydrants,
it's-
hydrants are all contaminated. You need to chlorinate them. You need to do bacteria testing. So you got days before you can actually make that connection active. So you just connect the lemon stuff.
Right.
And Okay, well, did anybody talk to the fire chief? Well, what kind of fire truck pump? Can it pump 1.5 million gallons a day through a 6-inch line from Leominster?
Right.
So all these comments that came out, oh, just do this, do that, they're throwing crap out there without having the background knowledge. So it kind of makes them look
So
like
we,
an idiot,
but
you know?
that's why we gotta hire them to tell us.
Do you guys have
tell
a
us, 'cause we
hydraulic
don't-
model for your system?
No. I don't.
So you're saying that that may
I think we
be
may-
something that we
I
need to
think you
do
do,
as a
like, you said, that's gonna
hydraulic.
show static pressure on the
A what?
lines, the flow, the.
Something where
hydraulic
we can
model-
run different scenarios
right.
and say, okay,
Oh, okay.
if this goes down and we need
Talks
to
about
connect
pressures
here,
Yeah.
and
how does
flows.
that work?
Right.
You know, we-
Like how much water can you shove through a 6-inch main versus through an 18-inch main and stuff like
Oh,
that. You know,
So if we don't have one, that would be another line item, hydraulic model of our system, but we don't even need to discuss these things if other communities aren't gonna have the water to supply us.
Right.
But that's the
So I
thing,
think we
is
start
Darren already
there.
made those phone calls, but nobody believes them, so now we have to pay an
Yeah,
engineer
pay
to
you
do
to-
it. That's just,
But, well, we'll see,
Yeah.
we've done our due diligence on our end. We present it to the public
Yeah.
decides what they wanna do.
Maybe we ought to call in all the experts in town, tell them to come on
Well,
in here,
hold
tell
on.
us what their story
There is another option.
What do you got?
We still could go out to the public again, and instead of doing the Hickory Hills and Lancaster Ave wells together, proposes the Hickory Hills only. We have all the data, we have everything, we know the actual cost. I mean, I think it's a long shot, but I mean, that is another option. It's gonna cut that project by millions and millions of dollars.
Half.
Yep.
Do we still have funding, or is that long gone?
did we officially
We
withdraw?
So that's another item on the list here, so,
Why don't we let
Yeah,
you
let's-
keep going?
yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
We
do your-
beat some of
yeah.
it down.
so, what we do aside, that kind of leads to my next bullet, time extension, so DEP's reached out at this point, and they're like, hey, time's running out, are you guys going to, they'd like to see a formal withdrawal from the IUP.
Understood.
If that's the direction that this is heading. The other option is to ask for a formal extension but I think we have to get that formal extension, I think we need to bring forth a plan of how we realistically think it would get a vote that is needed.
Understood. When do they need that by?
The deadline for submitting a vote is June 28th.
June 28th? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
But if we go for an extension, when could that extension be?
If you provide enough justification, maybe you can get another, I've seen it be extended to, say, the fall-ish timeframe, if you have like another planned meeting.
So my thinking is,
But there's no guarantees, you can ask for it, but yeah.
my thinking is, we take money out of this next July 1st budget. We hire Ty and Bond to do their study. We ask for the extension, and then we have that money still sitting there, and then we do like you just said. Bring it back to the people, have them pick which one they wanna do.
Well, so as far as the IUP, if that's around the Hickory Hills well to start. So if we did Lancaster Ave by itself, that would not be in the IUP, correct?
We lost them.
It's either Hickory Hills and Lancaster, or Hickory Hills
Or Hickory
only.
Hills. Well, yeah, I mean, we throw all the options out there.
Sure. Doing Lancaster Ave alone doesn't give it the water.
Hold
we
on,
need.
can we talk about that one? Okay, so we did a full round of PFAS sampling, so it's fact. Lancaster Ave needs PFAS
Correct.
treatment. That's fact. No one can argue that.
Can you explain that a little bit more about how you took the 100-foot test and
Yes.
all together,
So-
just so the people may.
All right, so when we do our sampling, we do exactly as DEP tells us to sample. So we don't ever run Lancaster Aves all together. So, but when they say do a blended sample, we turn all the wells on, we run them all night, and we take a sample out of a 100-foot tap. So it represents all of the wells on Lancaster Ave. That's not how we run the system down there. We run 2 on this night, and then we switch them to the next night, and that's how we run it. And we run Keating's with that.
And
So
you have to run it that way because of the
Does it
capabilities of the wells.
well, mostly during the summertime, that is accurate. Yes. Okay, so
Someone would ask, well, why don't you just run it like that? I'm just being devil's advocate. I know
alright,
why,
so-
but
yeah,
the-
but yeah, when it gets to July, I mean, even when we did the pilot testing, we were running 2 wells 24 hours a day. And then we shut it off and run the next 2 for 24 hours a day. We actually had to back off well number 4 from the pump rate because it was running out of water. And this was last month when the water tables were all high. So anyway, so we have so we did PFAS sampling on Lancaster at individual well sites. We've already done this in the past, and we knew well number 5 was going to fail. We knew that. So well number 5 is the only well in Lancaster Ave that you can put on and run 24 hours a day.
Sure.
So that's the main source on Lancaster Ave. So if well number 5 has elevated levels of PFAS, so you can't run it, we can't run all the other 3 wells because they're going to run out of water. You know, so you well number 5 can only run when you're going to run the other ones, dilute it with it. So when we did another round of PFAS, and just to confirm all this, because everybody, they make me feel like I'm lying to everybody. I'm not. I don't lie. And so well number 1 on the last round of sampling also failed. So well 5 and well 1. The good side, not really good side, but well number 1 is another one of the wells that runs out of water. It's only 31 feet deep. You know, so the
Oh,
water
wow.
tables.
yeah,
In the summertime, water tables are 18 feet. You got a 10-foot screen. You only got 4 or 5 feet of water you're playing
Sure.
with anyway. So
So currently, if you ran all the wells together at Lancaster Ave, we would be below the allowable limit.
not all the time. Sometimes we do fail. Sometimes
Even
like
with
the
all of them blended.
all blended. Yeah, one time it was 4.1. I think the result was, and that's what they were running with. Well, you only failed that one sample. Well,
Yeah. And how,
Blended.
so what's the average runtime for if you ran them all blended?
That when we run them blended, well, to do the sample, it's usually overnight. We start at 10 o'clock at night and we take the sample at 10 o'clock in the morning. So it's
And-
usually 12 hours of runtime.
12 hours of runtime. And the quantity, you don't know the quantity of water we get in that 12 hours of runtime? And that's an ideal condition.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. The 400,000 gallons.
Okay. And our max demand day is 1.4 million.
Correct.
So we would be able to, if it was perfect conditions and something else was down and we had to run that system, we could get a third of the water that we need for our max demand day.
Running 12 hours. I mean, we could do 800,000, 24 hours. But
Yeah,
only
but
can-
you're
that's
not
why we
gonna,
keep saying we
no,
only can
you
do that
have
for
to,
short
if you
term.
have to run it all, yeah. So it's still not of adequate backup to run all of the wells at Lancaster Ave for the period of time in perfect conditions that we can run them. We're gonna get a third to half the amount of water we use on a max demand day.
right.
Okay, so that's the easy way to say it, that it's just not going to be enough
So go
if
back
something
and
happens with
go back
Keys.
into the late 80s and 90s. We wouldn't even have put the Hickory Hills well in them if we didn't need it.
Well, that went, yeah, because Hickory Hills went before Keating's, but
Right.
another day. All right, so we can file for an extension on the IUP.
We can ask for it.
With good reason.
I think the only chance of getting an extension is to build a case. They're gonna just say, well,
Yeah.
we're not gonna just give you an extension.
Right.
Well,
Just to try to vote again.
It's pretty
Move that up.
simple. The district residents didn't have the flavor for a fully comprehensive plan, and they wanted options. We're hiring, our goal is to hire Ty and Bond to give us as many options as we can and go back to the table so that the public can decide whether they want the IUP,
That's all right.
the SRF funding or not. And our plan is to do this, and we have to come up with a decent timeline to do this. And again, that's where I'm saying, let's put all these separate, make every option separate. I don't care if we have 30 articles at the next meeting.
I kind of like that idea. Let the people pick.
Let the
Takes it
people
off you,
decide.
me, and everybody else. Let them all pick.
We can suggest what we've already suggested and recommended.
Right.
And it didn't sink in, so, you know, that's kind of my thought process, because I haven't literally, but, I think we all put a lot of effort and time into the previous plan I think engineers, commissioners, superintendents, all of us really felt that this was the best option for the public. And obviously, they didn't agree with your years of experience, the engineers' years of experience, and I think I've been on the board over 10 years. John, you've probably been 20 some odd years.
28.
But if that's gonna be the case and that's the way the political environment is, then the only solution I came up with is let's put every option we possibly can on the table, recommend what we think we should do, and if they don't agree, they can decide what they wanna do and how they wanna spend their money and how they wanna leave the future water supply of the community.
Because
They're the voters.
Because what I've taken from this whole thing is, we lied to all of them.
No,
No, I don't.
we didn't. I mean,
Yeah, we did.
It was
That's
it
what
was
they're
a
saying
very
to us.
contentious discussion and I guess you can say argument between two. There's people that agree and feel a certain way, and we felt, we're elected. We did what we felt was best for the entire district and the community didn't agree with us.
I know
So-
we had sent letters previously to the Woodlands and to Hickory Hills, and their responses were from their lawyers saying that they wanted nothing to do with us. But I reached out to them saying that we wanted to be involved, and I think it might be worth, if we're saying let's ask the residents, let's reach out to the residents, it would be nice if the committees and these
I'd love
groups
to.
that were created
Right.
would, instead of sending responses from their lawyers, actually reach out and work with us. Because
Yep.
if we knew specifically what their concerns were and came to these meetings, we could actually sit down at the table together and say, all right, this is what we're thinking. This is what we heard you guys at the meeting say, that you want to find out about other sources or interconnections. But we're not gonna get anywhere at the next vote if we can't have conversations
agree.
with these groups. And I know they sent the letter saying that we have to reach out to their lawyers, but it would be nice to
Well, can't we?
have some of these
What about
residents
the-
here.
I don't know what they're called, the Lunenburg Independent Clean Water
Community for whatever,
I
yeah.
mean, like, we could, needless to say, we obviously we need another source of water. This, relying on the Keatings one is just, I don't really feel good about it.
It's gonna be an option. They're gonna.
Right.
But I'm just suggesting that
that's
the
goal.
residents spoke that they didn't get their options, they didn't get anything, and if we continue to make these decisions in this room
Right.
without any type of involvement, a lot of the information that's stated here was construed and a lot of misinformation was put out there. So if the groups who we have invited in the past would actually come in and talk to us, it might move forward.
Well, I mean, I'm all
It's the
for
only
it.
way I see
Let's try
any-
reaching out to them and see if they
Yeah.
want to come in for the next meeting, and we can put our heads together and be like, hey, can we come up with a?
We tried this. We did the pilot test. They all sat with us. We all thought when it came to the voting for the pilot test, it was going to be unanimous. So, and that was a cycle, the meeting that went out of control. So, I mean, we tried that.
And
But
that-
then it came as a
Chrissy is
backstab
right
to us.
in the fact of this. We can come up with the best plan in the world here. That's perfect. But if the public doesn't vote on it, it doesn't do any good.
Yeah.
And I hear your frustration, and I get it. But we can't just, I guess, rely on doing a good job, doing the right thing, planning for the future. Like, we need to have the community sign off on it, bless it.
Well,
Or it's pointless to
go to
to
another
go
vote.
through all this
Yes.
stuff if it's an immediate, like, you never turn it on the Hickory Hills well. If that's the answer, well, we need to start
Find another one.
Yes.
doing something else.
Yeah.
I you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I think
Yeah,
I agree.
but tho- but
any
that's
plan
what-
with Keating needs to involve its backup.
Yep.
Right. You need to.
Right.
And I think, we've discussed some of the options. I think that hopefully between you and Fran, we can come up with some sort of a cost associated with exploring these options. And we can recommend and let the people decide.
I mean, it seemed that based on all the discussions and the public comments that they're looking for a lot more information than we can come up with in the time frame. So one approach might be to take a step back, get this information, and then maybe apply for it next year under a new round. That way that gives, because maybe part of the problem, and I'm just throwing ideas out there, is they don't want to vote on something that maybe they feel has already been decided. So if there's no plan yet,
No.
and then we come up with a plan, and then that plan is submitted for funding, it might have a better chance of passing.
Well, I think that's where I think we need to reach out, because I think there were more vocal residents and groups that were very adamant against it. So if, before we sit here and make a decision on, do we want an extension, or maybe we just ask for the extension in the meantime, and we can sit down and meet with them and say, do you want to push this through? Do we want to ask for this extension? Do we want to go through this? Or do we all need to take a step back and over the next year figure out what the best options are? You know, because nobody wants to waste. Nobody wants to waste their time.
We're all hanging our hat here on Keatings.
I know.
And it would be nice to get through the piloting and have an understanding of what the O&M is going to be for
Yeah.
Keatings.
Because that was one of the huge,
Yeah.
what are the maintenance costs?
Right,
And
and we
that's
can't
like-
tell you right now, there's gonna be stuff you're gonna have to haul off-site, and hauling stuff off-site is not inexpensive.
So do we not have enough time between now and the fall to try, no, I don't think we do. I agree.
I think the problem that the DEP is gonna say is, you know, if we suddenly switch horses again to Keatings under that same IUP, I think what they're gonna come back and just say, well, why don't you just apply for a new one?
Yeah.
Because applications are out now and they're due in
Alright.
July, why not reapply for that one? And that gives you until next June
Can-
to get the funding.
We already have the application for Hickory Hills, correct? We've already put one in.
Yes.
We've already expanded the application to include Lancaster Ave.
Yes.
Can we put in an application for Hickory Hills again, because we already have all the information? Hickory Hills and Lancaster combined, because we already have all the information. Lancaster by itself by the time it comes, and Keatings by itself.
Interesting. I don't know how they would react to every permutation application. You know, like every.
Well, the reasoning behind it is, nobody listens to us.
Yeah.
We have to let the public decide.
So we need to.
The
give them
only way to let
options.
the public decide is to just break them all out.
Well,
And
so-
we've already done the applications, they've already been done. So to me, it's, well, put a new
So
date
why,
on it
why isn't
and
this
resubmit.
when we do a meeting and ask people that, like, what
Why-
do you
why-
as
why
like
ask?
a
'Cause
vote? But to sit there and say, because again, we're paying time bond to go and do like 5 different applications. Well, ask the residents first, like, what do you want? Keatings, do you want us to go for this round of funding? We don't have the answers. You guys said you wanted the answers. Unfortunately, we don't have the O&M right now. So do we wait a year? And this is where I'm saying, like, these groups need to come in and communicate with us because they're the ones that decide the votes. So why are we putting all these options out to tie and bond when I don't know.
I mean, maybe, okay, so maybe I need to rephrase it. Can we get a cost to submit the applications for each one of them so that we can have something to discuss with the residents?
Yeah.
And then they can decide how many applications they want to put in.
It's getting too complicated
Yeah,
for me. I think a lot of people that were at that meeting didn't vote for us because they were afraid of what the price of the water was going to be, what it was going to go up. But right now,
gonna
it
go
ain't
up higher.
it ain't going to go any cheap. It's going to go more,
More.
than
Yep.
what it was before.
To your point, Mark, I don't know if it's a good idea just to like hey, throw everything at the wall and see what sticks type of thing here. I think with
confuse everyone.
right. I think with mass, you know, the permanent, you know, if I'm a bank, I'm gonna be like, well, dude, pick one. Here's a
Yeah.
spec. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's due diligence on our end. I understand where you're coming from.
I already did due diligence.
No,
I'm done with due diligence.
I just don't. I don't think it's the
Well, I mean, what
approach.
you could do is you could vote on it first and then do the application.
I think that's what they're looking
Yeah.
for.
Right.
They're like,
Yes.
hey,
But
you
if,
guys,
can we get a rough idea of what the applications are going to cost? The ones that we currently have that need to be refreshed, and then the new ones that would have to be made up.
Right.
Then they have something to vote on?
Well, I guess what I'm thinking is, if you set a date to vote on these different options, then there's just one application.
right.
Yeah.
So, but but the time frame is, there's no way that we'll meet this time frame of June 20th is. I think at this point, is yes, maybe we all sit down here and we make a wish list of like, oh, these are the 17 different ways to get water into Lunenburg.
Right, so the other deadline is July 26th. That's the deadline for this round of applications.
Yeah, we ain't making that.
There's no way.
Right.
Look
So maybe what makes the most sense is, let's complete the Keating pilot test. Let's
Mhm.
get this more information. We're gonna
Right.
have O&M costs
Yep.
more nailed down
Right.
at the end of this pilot. And then you can have a vote and then submit an application next year this time.
Correct. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah,
here.
no, I would
don't
agree
wanna
with that,
rush it.
because we
Yes.
don't have the
Let's
time.
do that and get some real, try to dot every I and cross every T with factual numbers, so when it comes out to the public to the vote, we can provide them with as much information as possible. In the meantime, I still, like, if next year comes around and we have the Hickory Hills numbers, we could put that out there too, you know what I'm saying? And then once again, put it out to the public. What would you guys like to see? These are some of the options of doing.
We got one well down Lancaster Avenue, that's at the PFAS level.
Two of them exceeded it.
Two of them exceeded. So, this might
But
be,
there's only one of them that's really a.
Hold on, are we in agreement with trying to do it that way?
Yeah, because at time frames and time crunch,
I
I
just
would
don't think
agree.
it's-
We need to
So
finish our
putting in a
pilot
withdrawal.
test.
Putting in a
Withdrawal.
We got to
Yeah,
withdraw from
and
it.
we've got-
'cause
yeah.
it-
And then we will go through this process and basically, we won't be able to make the July 26th timeframe at this point. Throughout the next year, we will get our ducks in a row on the Keating's pilot study to the T, and we will revisit the Hickory Hills one and to see if we want to, if the public wants to see that on the docket also, and vote on it, and then once that vote is done, whatever the public decides, we push forward.
what I'm getting at is, how many of these wells are gonna
like
be over the PFAS level before this all happens?
All of them.
And
all
what's
of
the DEP gonna do about it?
We have,
We have
Can't
9
shut 'em
years.
off.
We have
I
8
mean-
or 9 years.
So,
8 or 9 years?
so
Right?
one,
Or,
Five.
no, I'm sorry.
5 years.
5 years.
Five.
But even
29?
even still, I mean, when a well has exceeds the PFAS level, we're not required to treat it for 5 years. But still, I don't feel comfortable running it. I mean,
Why not? That's what they want.
I agree.
I know.
Hey, Nashua River just sent out a notice like, don't eat the fish out of there because of PFAS.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, what's this mandate? I mean, these wells are gonna fail, all of them are gonna fail in the next couple, 3-4 years
They
probably.
all
Yeah.
fail.
They
Okay,
all
so
fail.
what's the deal? Tell
So
me
what
what the
happens-
process is when these
so-
wells fail.
June whatever day of 2029 comes and passes and the well is over the limit, you'll get a notice to probably either shut the well down, or if there's no option to supply water, it'll be a big public notification, explain to them the risks of using this water. But then typically what happens is, DEP will start the administrative consent order process, where you sit down with their lawyers and your lawyers and you come up with a time frame of how you will come into compliance, and then you have to follow that path.
So what are they gonna force you to comply? I mean, they're gonna force you to build a treatment plant, they're gonna force you to hire engineers and contractors and do this, and what the bill is, the bill is.
I think-
There's not
I
gonna
think
be
the
any vote
goal-
from anybody about it. The state is gonna say, this is what you're gonna do, and
They'll
get
have
it
the
done.
freedom to solve the problem, and you could build a pipeline to MWRA, and, that's the most expensive option.
Oh, yeah.
Buy it directly from them. You could do that, or they're not going to force you to do any one particular thing, but they're going to force you to come up with a plan.
yeah,
Okay.
they're gonna force, yeah.
Yeah,
they're gonna
and there's
force-
not
hey, what are
gonna
you
be,
do?
there's not gonna be any public vote on it.
No, they're
They're gonna
have
tell
When
you
it
what
comes
they
to spend
want.
money, then we'll
I mean,
do
there's
it.
still will, you'll still have to vote, like even if you're under a consent order, you still have to ask the people to appropriate the funding.
And if they don't,
Usually, then what might happens is they might ramp up the ACO to include penalties, to have more teeth to it. So
More
that
money.
every day you go beyond that, they send you I don't know what you call it, but
A
penalty.
fine.
You have to pay them a fine.
Yeah.
yeah, an increase in the penalty. So I mean, the whole town's sitting on a bomb. It's going to happen. All the wells are going to fail if we can't get the people to understand
They've
what
already
we're trying to
failed,
do.
John.
They already failed, and all we're waiting for is the 5-year mark, and all the wells fail, and then there's no water, and the state steps in and says, "You're going to do this. You're going to have to do this, or you got to do something, or you're going to start paying fines, and then if you don't get it done, then you're going to start paying penalties."
And that's the idea of what we're trying to prevent by
That's
moving
right, but
forward
we're-
today. But I agree with you. That's, you know, we were trying to get ahead of this thing, and now we're gonna be in the pack.
So to
Right,
kind of.
so you missed the wave, so you might as well just
Right.
take a step back and.
I think that's the approach that we're gonna take.
You
So why
missed
don't
the
we
wave.
do
I
what we
like
talked
it.
about? Why don't we
Yeah.
meet with whoever we can with residents? We open this up
Put
to
it
the
out there.
residents to say, listen, how do you, we've come up with some ideas, how do you want to move forward? Then once we have somewhat of an idea of what our residents want to do to move forward, then we can touch base with Time Bond and say, okay, give us a quote for talking to other towns. Our residents want this, this, and this for options. We've got a year now to go through and have these discussions. So, but I hate to.
I think he has to look at all the options. Time
Well,
Bond has to, because they're
what
not
do-
gonna believe.
Why don't we let them come up with all the options?
No, but that's
Nice that they paid for it.
that's where we're kind of we're headed in that direction,
That's right.
and
That's
I
what
think
seems
that's
to
the
be
discussion
happening
is.
already.
So I just given the different options. I think we've discussed a lot of good options today. I think we've discussed what we need to do as far as SRF funding. We're waiting till next July.
Yep.
I think that we finish out the pilot studies that we have going on. So we understand O&M and so on. I think we lightly dip our toe in the water, so to speak, and see about where legitimately other communities are for hookups and what do we have to go over to do these hookups and have those options. I think everybody should be well aware by now that by 2029, if we don't have a plan in place, it's gonna cost even more money.
It's gonna cost more now, no matter what we do.
Yes, yep, I agree. So anyway, I guess we're gonna be looking to you, Lou, to give us some options on costs associated with
Yeah.
some of the things we discussed,
Well,
right? Just, I mean, not deep costs, but we're gonna have to be able to go to the
So,
public and
all right.
vote
Well,
some of this research.
I
Part
will,
of this, I mean, if we're gonna be asking for some grant funding to recuperate some of the piloting, maybe part of that ask is for, additional planning, or preliminary design work to kind of advance the ball a little bit.
What's the time frame on knowing on these, the pilots?
Is it, well.
When if we apply for the grants to get the funding for the pilot studies, what's the time frame on that?
So the grants are rolling applications.
So we
Open,
put it in-
you
put it in-
now, and then they look at each application and then they give people money based on the merit of the application until the funds run out.
So realistically, if we said, yes, we want to apply for this, what's the time frame to get the applications in, and when would we possibly see funding?
Getting the applications in, I think, is a fairly straightforward process. It's not a huge effort
So
or.
like August?
Oh, no, not that long.
Okay. I'd say we do that, and if we get money back, then I don't know if we need a vote to then reallocate that money for what we need to do to move forward with planning.
Oh, if we get the money to cover, like
We
the
get the money
Lancaster
back. We get
pilot
the-
study,
we
got
get-
200 back, now let's.
Yeah, we get all the
towards
money
this.
back from, what was Keating's was the,
ARPA.
ARPA? Yeah, we get the money back, we gotta go back to the selectmen and ask them if we can use that money for more planning.
right.
So, and we should know that by early fall.
Yeah, you would know.
And then if not, we still would have to have a meeting to appropriate funds for more planning.
That's another thing, if you wanna appropriate a new piece of land and a new well, you still gotta have a vote to appropriate the money.
Yeah.
So you're gonna bang your head on the floor all the way up the line, right to the very top.
It's just gonna, we have to try to look at it as efficiently as we can.
I understand
To move as
that,
fast as we
but
can.
you know what we're up against.
Oh, yeah. No, if we decide to put a well in,
Yep,
we automatically know we're looking at 5 to 7 years on the short end.
and millions of dollars.
Right, but we already have, we would have to research, I think if we're gonna do anything with a well right now, we have zone ones around everything. That would be a new well.
Yeah, they're protected on the town's bylaw.
Yep, so everything's already there, and I think we need to look at any potential and all of our existing and see what's going on. Cause there's some zone ones where there aren't wells.
Correct,
And,
that's where
and,
we're
and when's the
going.
last time we looked at that zone one to see if it's anywhere, if activities have caused it to be non-compliant? So I think we need to look at every one of our zone ones and see if they're still feasible and compliant so that, we could use those for future sites. And if they are, then we need to, and if they're not, then we need to make sure that they are compliant, because that's the future water supply for the town, as the zone ones we have. Because do you know of, you've been here the longest, do you know of a zone one that does not exist in an area where we could have a potential well? Because don't we have one already up where they were gonna put the leaf lettuce thing? Didn't we put a zone one up there?
No, there's potential testing locations we wanted to do, but those are bedrock wells.
Right, which don't produce as
Yeah.
much.
But they could, but typically you need treatment on those, never mind PFAS, I don't really know.
But we currently have zone ones around,
Only a
the-
couple
the
on.
best potential.
One on Goodrich Street,
yep,
and then 2 on Lake Shirley. But they're on peninsulas, so it's the same thing as the Hickory Hills. We only have to worry about the land area.
Right, not
Doesn't
the
matter
water.
what goes in the lake.
right,
it's just
but
the land
let's,
area.
I think we need to maybe consider looking at all of those and the current ones, active or not, to make sure. And, just because we're not gonna use it tomorrow, doesn't mean that we don't need to make sure it's protected for the future.
Yes, so the one on Goodrich Street, I know they, Bovenzi did a housing project.
Yep.
What's that street?
Yeah.
Easterbrook.
Yeah.
So, the 400-foot radius went into people's properties, so they, planning board made them put an easement on those, on the back of the
But
property.
what's happening in that 400 foot? That's what I'm saying, is there things that's happening in that 400 foot, we need to look at
We'll have
all
to
of
check
them
it
to
Yeah.
make sure, and if it's at all a potential future water supply spot, do we need to take action to make sure the 400 foot radius is protected?
I had spoke to that person, quite a while ago, that the owner who
Mhm.
owns that. I guess he took over the Bovenzi land. And he wasn't really in favor of any kind of water supply, but.
Nobody's gonna be in favor of putting a well in their
Right.
backyard.
We
So
will when
that
they
was
get
his big
thirsty
thing.
enough.
Yep, but, I mean, we have an obligation to supply water to the residents, so I think we have to look at every possible option, because as we could see in some of the discussions that happened, even though people didn't have the correct information, they were saying, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you try that? Because of years of doing it, feasibility or not, but unfortunately, people didn't really, don't believe what we tell them, so.
I think I said that a little while ago.
Right, so but I think we need to be looking at as many options as we can.
Yeah,
And so people know that we looked at all the options. We've already have,
I
but
think we gotta enforce all our zone ones.
Do you have
I'm-
anything else to add here?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
while we get you.
So we in agreement that you do the grant, and then we use the grant, if we
Yep.
get the grant, then we use the grant money to do this study. of-
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yes, but we're gonna need to figure out some options money-wise
Yep.
and what we need to do.
Yep.
Yep. So that would be the first step that we are gonna take at this point, is to apply for a grant
Correct.
to reimburse all of the pilot
Reimburse
testing.
piloting and,
Right.
you know, get additional planning.
Yep. Yep.
Did you cover all your points?
The only other one that I threw out there, and we don't need an answer tonight, but think about, for capital strategic solutions, whether or not that factors in going forward at all.
They're not on our.
So I know we had used the ARPA
Yep.
for the public education piece, that public education, and I've already reached out to her. And it's my understanding, I reached out to each commissioner kind of separately, we are gonna continue services with her through us.
Okay.
So, you know, we kind of came up with a plan of just a not to exceed price as projects come in and out. You know, not only with PFAS, but we've got the water main project going on, so it's our plan to continue
Okay.
having services with her, so.
Yep, I just wanna circle back on her
Yep.
email. and that
Yep.
was it. Okay.
Can I ask, how does capital strategic solutions affect you?
It doesn't. I just, she reached the end of her contract and
Okay.
she had put it out there, you know, let us know if, you know,
Anything
certain
else, yep.
additional services were
Copy.
Yeah,
I don't, no one really knows, she coordinated a lot of the
Mm.
meetings between all
Yeah.
of us, so she was really into this, you know, in deep on, you know,
Yeah.
coordinating, you know, every part of it, so.
yeah.
Okay.
So we have a lot of information, and she put a lot of it together to go out. And I think that's a very valuable service, to have somebody that puts the information that we have, the factual information we have, and puts it out in a way to the public, because you know, we're not all as eloquent as we'd like to be sometimes, and I thought that everything that I saw that was posted was clear and understandable. And it, you know, it really, I understood it. I understood it because she put the,
All right, we're gonna,
Into
hold on,
education.
we're gonna go down our list here.
But as far as to finalize with that, as far as having capital strategic for the public education piece, which was what we initially brought her on
Correct.
as for the ARPA funding, 110%. She did an amazing job.
Yeah.
The posts we had other towns, other water towns calling us like, your posts are amazing. The PFAS education that she was able to get out, she did a great job. So that's why we're looking to continue with other projects, but as far as what she was hired to do for this education piece, I think
She did a great job.
She did a great
She
job.
did a wonderful job, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll work on that, and.
Yeah, we'll talk
we'll
for
be
the
in-
grants and stuff.
All the different pieces and components that might go into the future planning. I mean, maybe the hydraulic modeling is part of that grant application, so.
Okay. All right.
perfect.
You know, I'm gonna skip over number 5 for right now, because we'll go right into capital strategic solutions while we're talking about
Do
it.
we need to keep Lou if?
No,
Sound
no.
with me?
I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Thanks.
We'll let you
Lou.
go home.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you, Lou. Appreciate it very much.
See you again.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Bye, Lou.
Mr. Chair, real quick.
Oh, yes.
Can I make a motion that we approve the minutes of May 22nd, 2024?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You don't get to vote on that.
No,
No,
you're
I
the
don't.
chairman now.
No,
No, he didn't get to vote, he wasn't here.
Oh,
And we've already reviewed and signed the warrants, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Those can go in the folder.
All right, number 6 here is review and vote for capital strategic solutions for support services.
I think I printed them off for you guys, but it's basically what I reached out to each of you for. Instead of having, like when she came on with Ty and Bond, it was, this is what I'm gonna do for this amount of money. You know, she planned on so many meetings, so many posts, so many things.
Right.
Whereas we don't have a specific project that we're doing right now, but we have a lot coming up. She did a proposal that just basically said, here, we're gonna support you whatever you need, but it won't exceed, you know, so much money in a year, however you wanted to put it. So instead of sitting there and saying, you know, I still would like to, she's gonna come in and do a little bit of training so we can continue to have our Facebook posts as amazing. She's gonna train me on how to do all that. But also, you know, other things that we're gonna talk about. We got new water restrictions. We need to reach out to people. We need to get the word out to everybody that there's new water restrictions coming up. The Mass Ave water main project is coming up. We're gonna need to get in touch with a lot of people. So this was just a proposal from her to say, we're here. This is what we can do. You know, she's
Right.
got some pricings for, you know, she's obviously a senior, whatever. If it's something
Sure.
small, doing other things, we can have her, the other people in her office do it. So
So we're not obligated to spend a dime with her through
No.
this, basically, is what you're telling me. So,
well, we would pay,
I understand.
yes, but
So-
no, we're not. We could do 3 months and have nothing.
Correct. So that's
And
kind of
then-
where, like, you know, when this first came about, first off, she did a fantastic job throughout this whole process that we hired for.
Yeah.
I mean, I was impressed. I mean, that is a skill that not a lot of people have, and she did phenomenal about
Yep.
it. That being said, as we push forward, you know, I looked at this and I was a little uneasy about it because, you know, it can get kind of expensive,
Yeah.
and as we roll through some months, and you know, if there's not much going on, I don't really want to put that burden on the water payers to have somebody, you know, do this when not needed.
So I think that was the first one that I had sent you guys
Right.
was, you know, $1,000 a month, and I'm
Right.
going to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And I went back to her and I said, no,
Yeah.
because we're going to have the same thing, some ebb and flows. We're going to have, like you said, 3 months of hopefully,
and we're out of here, right,
hopefully
yeah.
nothing much.
Right.
But to be able to have her, so she just put in a do not exceed $12,000 in a full year.
Mm-hmm.
Don't exceed that amount. And that's more for her for sitting there and saying, hey guys, you know,
Right.
you've used me a lot, but I want to make sure we don't go over it. Or we get to the year point and we're like, yeah, we haven't used her, needed her much at all. So it's more of a service, an as needed service, which I do feel we will use, but we are not committed to this monthly. She's going to do 2 posts. She's going to create
Right.
this. This is just more of a, we got to reach the public with our, this project. Help us get the word out to everybody.
Okay.
So that's what I was.
Thoughts on that, Mr. Esposito?
None.
No thoughts on that.
Nope.
Mr. Bursch?
I agree to have her as a as needed basis. I think it is a valuable resource. I think with the projects that we have coming up between the water main, new water restrictions, trying to communicate everything that we're gonna be trying to do on this PFAS stuff, I think that, I think it's gonna be a valuable resource, and I would vote to either whether we make it a budget line item for next year's budget, but we already voted on next year's budget, right?
Already voted on that.
Yeah.
It would
So
have
if
to
we
come
just-
out of somewhere.
So if we just did, you know, right, well, so this right here, what I'm hoping for this contract, and I put it in there, obviously I can take it out of one of the warrants, was I went through and did our numbers and our maintenance budget. We have it in our maintenance budget right now to pay $6,000 out of our maintenance budget. So we don't need to have another line item, we don't need to do anything like that. And then when next year comes around, I can do the same thing, pull up our budget, figure everything out if we need to reallocate or something.
Right.
But right now,
We could do this.
this
without-
can come out of just our regular maintenance budget.
Okay.
I would say where we're so close to the end, I mean, that makes the
Yes.
most sense.
Yeah.
We have the money in the budget, and next year we may not.
Yep.
And who knows by next year's budget whether we utilize that money or not.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So, I'm okay with that, and then we kinda see how it goes. Obviously, if we have a larger project that comes down the pipeline and we're gonna need more involvement, then we would ask for special, you know,
And I
more
think if
pricing
we
on
She
talk-
said that.
yeah.
She had said if something big comes up, we'll push this aside and we'll say,
Correct.
all right, you have this
From these dates. to
special
these
meeting
dates,
vote
yes.
coming out, you need this.
Yeah.
She'll put together a whole different proposal for it. So this is just more,
All right, yeah, I like this a lot better than the other one where like
Yeah.
we're not obligated to spend money when we may just go through a summer months of just nothing much going on.
I'm assuming that if it was a $6,000, we'd take it and we'd almost be a retainer at this point.
Yes.
Because it's in there, it would have to come out of this year's
Right.
budget.
Yes.
It would
Well,
have
yeah, I
to be
guess
paid
it's
before
in-
July 1.
Does she have to get paid first, or how does she?
Well,
No,
it has
I
to come out of
asked-
our budget before
I-
July 1.
She didn't
Okay.
need to,
Right.
but I asked her because I went through and did our numbers,
Yeah.
and we had it in this year's maintenance budget
I
before
understand.
July 1st.
Yeah.
I said, could we do an invoice for $6,000, have that, like you said,
Like a
as a retainer
retainer,
for the
right.
year? And she said, whatever,
Okay.
you know,
I think between now and everything that we're trying to do and based on the discussion we just had, that, we'll definitely be using her services before the year end. And this is a way to kind of get on the front end of it,
Okay.
I agree.
because it's already in the budget. So I would make a motion that we allocate out of maintenance $6,000 to retain the services of Capital Strategic moving forward, and then she's gonna detail out basically.
and
Yeah, we can sign this.
yes, and sign.
And
Proposal for
as part of my
support
motion, I
service.
would authorize the chairman to sign proposal from Capital Strategic on behalf of the board.
I second that.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. You can't vote.
I didn't.
He can still vote. He can't make a motion.
I
Make a
know.
motion.
Give him that.
There you
So
go.
then I don't forget.
Well,
But is it Frank gonna sign this?
No, you just
no,
said the chair.
I just authorized you to
chair.
sign it.
So you're on the hook for the money.
Yeah.
Okay, moving along. Let's discuss the Mass Ave water main replacement project.
Okay, so that one, that actually went well. So it got to the point where we were ready to terminate. Letter was written, ready to end the contract. And so I called them just to see, because Mark Bursch said, hey, I'm not ready to quit yet. Can we talk to him, see what we can do? So I'm like, well, let me try. So I called them. I'm like, hey, can we downsize the project? And so we could stay inside a budget. And then comments went back and forth quite a bit. Well, we don't want to do the toughest part of the job, and give you the easy part. So he's like, how about we sit down Monday morning and let's go over the thing. So there's some texting back and forth and stuff, and we were pretty much in agreement before they even got here. So when they came in, it was I said, obviously we only have so much money, and I said, are you okay with us doing probably most of the project? I said maybe when we get to Arbor Street, maybe backing off and not going
Right.
to the end. And he says, okay, so what seems to be the issues with the current? Because he's stuck in a change order.
Yeah.
Because the Mass DOT permit called for a lot of extra stuff.
Yeah.
That wasn't in the bidding.
Correct.
documents. So he had a lot of it, flowable fill into the old pipe, and then he had ports in the old pipe so he could get the flow through it. So he had big numbers at it, 40,000 for this, 40,000 for that. And I said, well, can we do that because as far as I'm aware, that main's all off the road, so we don't need to do any of that. So can we do it, break those out to like so much per foot or something like that? And he's like, if there's none on the road, I said, how about we change it up? I said, if it's in the road, not part of your contract, the water district will take over it. He's deal. That's it. So all those numbers went away.
Perfect.
And then the only one that
Good
stayed
job, Fran.
was paving. So I told them we have to pull the lines across the street or leave the existing lines there.
Yeah.
So tie them onto the main.
You're talking the services, correct?
The services.
Yes.
Because some of them were so close that the state wanted us
Yep.
to pave that area. So we pretty much got the paving down. We definitely gotta do Arbor Street. And so my thinking with Arbor Street, we don't have to, but my thinking with Arbor Street is we get off of the state road. And
Yeah.
then we don't have to deal with these people again. I mean, they are very, very difficult, so.
Weren't they gonna mold under the roads to do these services?
They were gonna dig them. They don't mow or pull. So I said, if you get to the service, and I said, because I'm very cooperative. You know, I said, you know, I told them, I'm like, I want you guys to leave here and you made money.
Right.
I want us that we got a good job and we didn't
Go
pay too much.
Right.
So I said, so you get the service and you want us to bring our cable?
Yeah.
I said, we'll do it.
Yeah.
I said, we do it all the time. He's all right, so we'll work together. I'm like, perfect. So that's how we ended up. So I'm like, so what do you need us to do? And he's like, nothing. Contract's all signed. We're gonna order the pipe. So he says July, after July 4th, they're gonna start working on it. So
Okay.
it went well.
What's the timeline on it?
Well, that was one of their other concerns, because Stantec wasn't giving them any time
Yeah.
for extensions, and
Yeah.
I said, if you come here and you start working, I said, you're gonna have as much time as you want. Get this thing done before winter, and we're good to go.
Right,
I
yeah, so
said,
that's the goal, is like before winter.
yes. So
Yeah.
I said, if you come in and you start working for 2 or 3 weeks, and you pack up and head out and go somewhere else, I said, now we're gonna enforce that
Yeah,
extension.
sure, yeah.
So he said, they were all perfectly clear. Nope, we get here, we're staying until it's done.
Right, good,
So it went good.
awesome.
I'm excited to actually. see
Well, I didn't wanna see it go back, cause there's, again, stuff is not getting
that.
cheaper.
That was the
Yeah,
exact
that was
thinking
it, yeah.
was that if we because Stantec wanted to toss
Yeah.
it and go back out the bid, and I think if we went out the bid, the price is probably going to go up
Be
even
higher.
Well, good job, everybody, because I was leaning on I didn't like the way this smells, but if you guys
Yeah.
all get it to pull together and this works, that'll be a very big win. Even though it looked like it should just be like, wait, just everything's status quo, but,
Yeah. Oh, that's
so-
good.
Have you heard anything from Stantec?
No,
Nope.
I sent them, told them that
Or go.
we made a deal and to go and haven't heard a thing. So that's actually been one of the problems.
Yeah,
So
I
letters would
understand.
come from the contractor to Stantec and myself of these concerns, and then it would take 3 weeks, 4 weeks to get an answer.
yeah.
If at all.
And then now money start flying back. So I'm getting frustrated thinking it's them and Stantec. So and they're thinking it's us, the water district, and Stantec, and they're ready to toss it out too. So I think the key thing here is we need to terminate Stantec.
Yes.
After this is done,
After
absolutely.
this-
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're in charge of this project, and then
Yeah.
we'll have to reevaluate
Right.
whether we do another project with them.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
So the one thing I am gonna try to post or let people know is originally the July 1st bills that are coming out in a
Yep.
couple weeks, we're supposed to start that new line item for this project.
Correct.
Well, the fact that this has literally been back and forth, and at one point we thought was going to be terminated, that the July 1st bill will not have that line item on it yet. It will start October 1st when the project is
So
going.
just make sure we communicate that,
I'm
make
gonna-
sure we put a, post together to let them
Yes.
know that this project is moving forward and starting.
You won't say. I can't imagine many people are going to complain that it's not on their July
Right,
1st
yeah.
bill. But to let
we
people
do need to
know,
let people
I've
know
been trying to
that,
send
you know,
flyers
There's
out.
been some delays in the project, it's happening.
It
everything.
is happening, but it's the first.
Right.
The first charge won't happen until
When were
October
you
1st.
thinking of changing that hydrant? Doing the hydrant down there?
No, we don't have
They're
to.
going to.
They're gonna
Oh, they're gonna do it now,
So
okay.
so I think, and maybe just drop a note to Heather so she can let the board know that we're starting that project. Or maybe you can drop Heather an email. I like that idea.
Yeah, and I've got a bunch
I
of
don't need to
contacts
go
from the
I don't need to
school.
go to another selectman.
Yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
contact the
Yeah,
the
we've
school,
got
give
all.
them
I've got a
heads up.
few of their.
That is probably maybe one, like, when does school start? Do they think they'll,
They were good about saying,
Yes.
and you
He-
expressing that this
Right.
was the one
He's
part
like,
that was
we
very.
never block any driveways.
Okay.
He said we have steel plates. He said we're not worried about the school one bit. We'll
Yeah.
always have
And they're
our-
starting at Northfield going that way, or starting at the school coming back?
Starting in Northfield.
okay.
Good.
Any further discussion on that?
No.
No,
All right.
Mm-hmm.
great
Moving
job, superintendent.
I like to keep things moving. We're on a circle the plane. We want to land it. Number 7, review and vote changes to the water district's rules and regulations.
Okay, so the most specific thing is water restrictions. The Mass DEP, what are they called, Master Emergency Management They have a management plan for water conservation, and it was passed. It's now state law that certain levels of when the state, it's not just the state, it's all the environmental. Everybody the group gets together, and they determine which regions if there are any drought levels. So mandatory restrictions, if there's a level 1 in Worcester County, Lunenburg must do level 1 water restrictions. So there's level 1, 2, 3, and 4. So all I did was I stuck them as part of our rules and regulations, so we have authority to cover them. So the stuff you have in front of you, the red is stuff that I wrote that we could change if you don't like how I worded it, you want to word it different. The yellow on the second page, that's
I think yours is green.
oh yeah, this is green.
I agree.
Green.
That's in our Water Management Act permit, the draft and from the state. So the levels at the top, and then the bottom part is what is from our Water Management Act permit. So that page is, there's nothing.
There's
that we
nothing
can
changed there.
You can't change it.
Right.
You can say you don't like it, but nothing we can do about it, so.
But the third page.
This is all state, all the green is state.
Yes,
State mandated.
yes. And then on the third page, I didn't know, because I did fines.
In the red.
I didn't know what you guys want to do for fines, any fines.
That's good to me.
Yeah, what are the fines based on? Are they a daily fine? Are they a weekly fine? Because you have first offense,
I
second
would say
offense.
daily.
I would say
Yeah.
We go and we notify them, so we write him, stick a letter in their door, and they're officially notified. And there's your written warning. Come back next day, the sprinklers, the irrigation's still gone, well, here's a $50 fine. It's coming on your bill.
If I want to run my system every day, it'll cost me $50 the first day I run it, or $50 a day until.
Well,
the-
50 the first day, yeah, 100 the
The
next
fif-
time we
fir-
catch
the-
you,
yeah,
500
yeah,
the next time
right.
we catch you, then multiples of 500.
I would probably put in there something to do with like daily fines that were, daily.
We have to figure. Yeah, we just have to. If somebody says, "Oh, I'm going to run my irrigation system," that's only going to cost me $50.
And
And
I've
then-
heard from other towns that the people pay the fines.
Yeah.
Just to run their irrigation.
Oh yeah.
Like I like my lawn, but
What do
Not
do
bad.
other communities have a scale similar to this, or what did you
I'm
base
not
this off?
sure what they have for their scale, but most of them are fines.
Yeah.
I want to say a couple years ago when when I was familiar with them a little bit, theirs I think were similar to this, because they were paying someone overtime to drive around in the middle of the night because they were that
Right. Oh, I
because that wasn't the state telling them water restrictions they had
They
because
had,
they were
right.
new to the PFAS thing, so they were going around and having to.
So, a level 1, so I can be clear, a level 1 is mild drought, 1 day per
Very
week
frequent.
watering.
Yep.
After 5 p.m. and before 9 to minimize evaporative loss. Does that go under would automatic sprinkler systems fall under that?
Yeah.
So that's where this restricted non-essential outdoor water use falls under a level 1.
Yes, so like the first one, you can, non-essential, all the restrictions tied to non-essential use. So
Right.
on the level 1 means you can do non-essential 1 day a week. So you can run your irrigation system
1 day a week. Filling a swimming pool.
I'm not gonna lie, no one's gonna listen to it, but
No,
I'm
no,
not gonna put it out there, but.
yep.
Well, I mean,
Well, this is
legally,
all,
that's what
we
they say.
have to legally put it out, this is all brought from the state.
Yes, we can't say we're not gonna, we have to make it public, how much you wanna enforce it is your call, but.
And this is not enforceable for private wells or anything.
Oh.
No.
Well, a new permit, which is draft right now, it's asking us to send that to the town, to make that part of the Board of Health. That any restrictions applied to, that the state comes out with must be enforced by the wells, also by the wells.
But who enforces that?
I'm not sure. All I have to do, because we're a water district, all I have to do is ask for it.
Okay.
Send it to the town, this is what I'm requesting. And that's all I have to do is request it.
They don't have to approve it.
No.
No, nobody's gonna
But-
listen.
but-
Everybody's still gonna use their private wells. They're all gonna suck out of the lake, so.
But you really should. I mean,
Well, it's still
t-
groundwater.
level one, okay,
Yeah.
that's not that's a pretty normal. But when you get into
What-
level three,
what-
it's pretty critical.
When you look at historical, obviously the last 2 years, have we even been to a level 1 in the last 2 years with all
No,
the
last year.
moisture we've had?
I don't think last year. I think some areas did
Yeah.
last year, not this area.
Oh, we got 9 inches of rain.
But I would say level one is pretty common.
Yeah. 2 years ago, we had a
When
3 years ago.
was that
Yeah.
3 years ago?
Very
Yeah.
Really
dry.
good.
Yep.
summer.
So,
The guy who puts in
I
the
know.
sprinkler system doesn't like it.
oh, we don't put them in anymore, we just maintain them. We do put them in, but yeah.
So if you guys are good for it, I have like a full rules and regs.
You
ready.
guys wanna take it, tweak?
Yeah,
I
you
think
can
the
if
only
you
thing
want
again,
to.
and I think
Yeah.
the thing I wanna just kinda look at is that, like,
The daily, I just wanna add that
Okay.
to clarify the fines a little bit.
Daily.
Daily fines. So yeah, let's,
how do other communities, do they do it daily? Maybe
Okay.
looking a little
Yeah, we
bit,
can- we
because
can look
maybe
at that.
I just
somebody
like it's
says,
very
you know what?
vague.
You know, I'll run my system, it'll cost me $50 this year.
Yeah.
I'll run my system, it'll cost me
Right,
$100
yeah.
next year.
Okay.
I'll run my, I mean, that's, how do they gauge?
Okay. Alright, I'll put it on for the next one to, cause we do need to, according to them, post it
sure.
to let the public know.
Absolutely.
That that's when it's enforceable,
Yep.
so. Okay.
Okay. Moving along. Discussion regarding Selectmen's public records request. What do we wanna do with this?
Put it in the round file.
I think we got more important things.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
I still don't agree.
Oh, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not, I agree. I
The
think
way the whole
thing
went
rolled out and
down,
everything, but at this time,
we got bigger fish to fry.
what's the line to gain?
Yeah, what's
What
the
are we gonna
benefit
gain
of
out of
pushing
it?
There's
it?
no,
I
there's no.
Then we can prove that we're right, but it's,
Why? Yeah,
we'll still lose, you know what I'm saying? Alright, so we're just gonna
Yeah.
squash that.
Yep, with nothing, they responded that they don't need to, so.
Right, so we're just
Yeah.
gonna let that
nothing.
expire.
Done.
Okay? Commissioner, superintendent, clerk, treasurer additions.
I had something. I can't think of what it was. I had requested, and I hadn't talked to Fran about this yet, but I had requested it through Christie to Fran. I think that the article that the planning board had to bring zone 1, 2, and 3 in line with what DEP recommends at the state level. I know it got torpedoed because of other people's opinions. I'd like to try to get together with I believe the interim planning coordinator is still sticking around, and Fran, and possibly reach out to the interested parties to see if we can't come to something so that it's all complete. I spoke with Mr. Keating about it. He was talking about maybe just trying to get to zone 1 and zone 2 and just leave zone 1 alone. I think they were almost there at
Okay.
their last meeting. I think that everybody had their input. I think there are a couple things that probably were discussed that really have no place in it, but I have no problem with the zone 1 staying the same way it's worded now. I have no issue with that whatsoever. I think the zone 2 and zone 3 will allow certain things in areas of town that we wanna see development to help bring the tax base up for the community. I mean, we could, definitely always gonna need more money. So I felt that if it was under, I didn't think there was much issue with zone twos and zone threes. There were a couple things, that I heard floating around, and that's why I wanted to have this meeting to get together. I heard no treatment in zone one, which we already currently treat in zone one and DEP allows. And no treatment in zone two without special permit. So this is my question to you, Fran, if we build any sort of a structure, like when we built this place, did we have to go to the planning board and discuss and show, at least show them the plan and?
Yes.
So if we build a treatment plant anywhere, are we still gonna have to go to the planning board and discuss it with them?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I don't see a need, if it's allowable, we're still gonna have to meet with the planning board whether we build any of these structures, why we would need to restrict treatment in zone one or zone two, and especially where we already treat in zone one, and it's allowable. If we, one of my reasons behind that is, if we have to treat outside of the zone two, it's going to significantly impact the costs associated
Absolutely.
with treatment. So it doesn't make sense if it's allowable and we can do it and it's, you know, obviously we have to go through a process, everybody's gonna be involved in it, they're gonna have their 2 cents. We still gotta go to planning anyway.
Right.
If people have issue, they can go to planning.
The whole intent of the zone, zone one, zone two, is to protect the water supply. So if you put it in a treatment plant, you're making the water supply better. So
Right.
that has nothing to do with the intent of this. So to me, yeah, that ain't going.
To me,
So leave it as it is. Or,
right, so that's what I wanted to try to do, is get together with because the planning coordinator, the last meeting that I saw, he basically said, this really doesn't change anything, but I understand that there was an attorney that said that, I believe it was the Woodlands, that said that don't change the zone one, because if you change the wording, you'll never get it back. So I'm like, okay, great, let's leave the wording the way it is, because it doesn't really affect us in any way, shape, or
it has
form.
nothing to do with us.
Right.
No, we still have
The
the
new
control of
proposed-
the land area. We can do whatever we want.
Right, so
That is
I would just, I would leave it as it is.
Yeah, they can put whatever they want.
You know, so, I'd like to try to move forward with that and try to meet with the planning.
Yeah.
I had sent emails and I've never got responses. So, but I don't know if you've done it.
There is a new, and it may, if I have to go up and see him, I believe there is a new administrative assistant for the planning coordinator that is an interim planning coordinator, that is part-time,
So we just
So-
gotta
Only
coordinate
works on
something.
Sunday.
yes,
But I'm in agreement. Let's wrap this up and get it done.
Yeah. I agree.
yeah. So, I'll try to plug forward on that. I was not able to make it to the last planning meeting, but, you know, see what we can do, for, I think, fall town meeting, I think we can do something with that. That was what I had.
Anything else? Old business, we had Keating's pilot study and Lancaster Ave pilot study, which I believe that we
So
talked
keep
about.
going.
Lancaster is done on the pilot testing.
Yeah.
I think they just have to do the when they send the
Yeah,
Send it
like you
out.
told.
and Keating's is starting. I think next week.
Good.
Public comment?
Okay. Hey, I'm happy you showed up. Somebody came to our meeting.
Make you feel important.
Yeah.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Oh, so moved. Have a good night.